So my research is in systems change. How do organizations and individuals make social change that kind of coalesces at the systemic level? And for a long time, my research was focused on organizations. I was really interested in how organizations design solutions, how do they implement at scale different models to make social change. But I think what I learned over time was that many of these organizations found a certain limitation in working in just their organizational context. They reached certain limits in the amount of change that they could inspire, could really affect. And so then I started to look at what are these organizations doing beyond the limits of their organizations. And I started to see how many of these organizations that were having large-scale impact were actually impacting their broader ecosystems. They were connecting with other organizations, they were connecting with different types of sectors, and they were using those relationships in order to inspire large-scale change. And so I became very interested in collaborative networks and in inter-organizational spaces. So what are the places where organizations connect with organizations that are like them? How do they also connect with organizations that are different from them? And how do they then collaborate in order to make change? WeRobotics, the Flying Labs Network, is a really interesting example of a collaborative network. I think it really shows how these types of networks harness diverse expertise. So some of that expertise is across the network that they share with one another. Some of that expertise is very deep in their local contexts. And these networks allow that knowledge to be shared across many different organizations. I think also, when we work within single organizations, we're often in our own bubbles. We often only see the types of context or the knowledge that we have to hand. When we're in these collaborative networks, we can actually be inspired by new ideas, different ideas. So it's not just about our own local expertise, it's about being challenged by things that look different and using that knowledge to then change the way we see our own local contexts, and collaborative networks really have the potential to do that. It's not just about making change in the local context, it's about often gathering the global resources and the global ability to make change at very large scale. And collaborative networks have the ability to do that, both through the sharing of expertise, secondly, to be inspired by new ideas and different ideas, but then also to collaborate to share resources, to make sure that we can get the resources that we need, we can share them with others, and we can ultimately leverage that for large-scale change.